Just about everybody who makes public statements lie.
What is she doing on her little phone? They're like that couple that you get stuck next to at a wedding reception table that makes you want to gnaw your own face off. Look, when you're calling the same doctor who worked for President Obama a hack, you've lost the plot. Which is why the fake news awards was perfect timing. As the press gave Trump's physical a physical, he gave one right back. And get this, turns out he's in way better shape than they are. How genius was it to have the media cover their own report card? We break in with this breaking news. We suck. But speaking of report cards, how is Trump's after 1 year? Well, the economy's way up and ISIS is way down. If you stop there, I'll take it. But jobless claims are lowest since 1973. And I believe we have footage of your 401k since Trump took office. And Trump's tax plan was so good that even Apple's Tim Cook is offering bonuses and bringing thousands of new jobs to the U.S. Watch him try to admit it.
There are large parts of this that are a result of the tax reform, and there's large parts of this that we would have done in any situation.
Just come out and say it. The guy you can't stand did some good. I know it's painful to credit someone you hate. The media tech companies, they're like children in high chairs, shaking their heads as Trump feeds them their vegetables. Yeah, it tastes bad, but it's good for you. Anyway, what did we get amidst this good news? Flake news.
The enemy of the people was how the President of the United States called the free press in 2017. Mr. President, it is a testament to the condition of our democracy that our own president uses words infamously spoken by Joseph Stalin to describe his enemies.
Very, very moving, but very false. Flake's attack was actually fake news because Trump never said the media was the enemy of the people. He said fake news was the enemy of the people. That's no small change, for it fed a storyline that undermines the ability to criticize the press. Trump treats the media like flies buzzing around his ears, reminding them it's not the reporters who are important, but the people they report on. No wonder they're pissed. So here's my one-year assessment. If Trump can just control himself, he might end up being a figure for the ages. The entire planet is feeling his impact every day. They're talking about him in the jungles of Borneo. Like him or not, take a freeze frame of right now. He's the most important person on Earth. But by keeping him on his toes, so are you. And that ain't fake news. All right. Let's welcome tonight's guests. I can get behind his legal mind. His latest book is called Trumped Up. Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz. She's so bright the Sun sends her hate mail. Wall Street Journal senior video reporter Shelby Holliday. She's the feisty dame who thinks everything's lame. National Review reporter Kat Timpf. And an inner tube is his pinky ring. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. Yeah. All right. Professor, you can comment on anything, but I want to pose a question to you that despite all these missteps that are happening constantly, when you step back, there seems to be a path of accomplishment, which to me is astonishing that given all this stuff that's going around, things are okay. You know what it is? It's like a drunk man walking a straight line in an earthquake. It's like both effects are canceling themselves out. So he just walks a straight line. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
First of all, I'm still trying to get my head behind what Donald Trump will look like in 2147
yes.
when he turns 200.
Yes.
And you have to promise to put him on this show.
Yes, we will.
With his walker.
Yes.
And he'll come in and he'll look back.
Yeah.
And he'll look. I think this has been a very, very mixed year.
Yeah.
There are some very bad things. The statements he made about African countries are simply inexcusable. As the grandson of immigrants who came from what were considered S-hole countries back then, and have accomplished a lot.
Right.
We should never judge people on the basis of national origin. I don't like the way he deals with immigration,
right,
the way he deals with people from foreign countries. On the other hand, I like the fact that he has the peace process moving a little bit in the Middle East. Maybe the recognition of Jerusalem will finally push the Palestinians to come to the bargaining table. Mixed record on judicial appointments. Mostly I don't like them, but a couple of them are not so bad. So it's a mixed record for me. I would say more on the negative than the positive side, but he has 3 more years. Prediction, only 3 more years.
Ooh.
In 3 years, he's going to get on national television.
This is a professor.
I'm just making.
I like him a lot.
Here's his statement. He says, "I don't know
Yeah.
why any president thinks it takes 8 years to save our country. I have done more in 4 years than any president since George Washington. I don't see any reason for taking the additional 4 years. I can go back to the private sector and really help make America
This is a good point. This is a good point. It's like what he did. It didn't take him that long to do Woolman Rink in New York. It took him a couple of months. He can get this thing done and he'll go do something else. I guess that's your point.
It's like my grandmother used to say to our children, sleep fast, we need the beds. You know? So if he can get it done in 4 years, hey, he's going to not run a second time.
Shelby, I have a theory that, kind of playing off what the professor said, is that he is kind of a jerk, but a lot of times your boss is a jerk and he gets stuff done. What's your take on it?
He got a lot done. I just produced a video for the Wall Street Journal for this 1-year anniversary, and I felt like the dryer on the trampoline. But there was so much going on, and to recap a year in 4 minutes was nearly impossible, but also amazing to watch the market continue to go up. President Trump makes controversial comments. He's also a big cheerleader at times when things are going well. But the market, man, it just keeps going up. So I think that is a huge takeaway. It shouldn't be ignored. I do have a bone to pick with the fake news awards. You cannot come out with fake news awards and have the #1 fake news issue be an op-ed columnist. That is not a reporter. That is not news. You are undermining your entire point when you're
but you overmine it when you pick Krugman, because boy does he deserve it.
Guy might have said something that was not exactly right, but
Krugman,
he's not news.
He's an opinion maker that everybody respects, no matter how crazy he is as he pets his cat.
But why not call it fake media awards? And also, you have better things to do.
I think it's fun. I get your point, though. I get your point. Kat, I want to talk to you about the health thing, but you can talk about whatever you want. He really is. He had that guy out there for an hour with Dr. Dreamy answering everything.
Yeah, which is my nightmare.
That's true.
If I was ever in public office, they'd be like, oh, she's crazy, within about 3.5 minutes. I don't eat healthy. Sometimes I don't eat until nighttime because I'm too anxious.
Yes.
I have about 30 pairs of penguin socks that I wear year-round.
Yes.
I have a cat that I let sleep in bed with me, and if he doesn't sleep in bed with me, I can't sleep. I watch episodes of Bob's Burgers on loop every single day as I'm getting ready, as I'm in the shower. I'll play it real loud. The neighbors love that. The neighbor lady would come in as a witness on CNN being like, listen, the noise that's coming from her apartment. Thank God that we don't just let TV doctors diagnose us, because if we did, we'd all be screwed.
That is so true. All right, Tyrus, a big finish here with you.
I'm stuck on the whole. How many pairs of penguin socks?
Between 30 and 50 from my Auntie Barbara. You want to make fun of my Auntie Barbara? She's a very nice lady. Thanks for watching, Auntie Barbara.
Yes.
Hey.
And Uncle Frank.
Yes, can't leave out Uncle Frank. So what do you think? I think you have, even if you're a supporter of Trump, you would deceive yourself if you don't admit there is a sense of chaos. It's like you're in a bar in an old West, an old Western where at any moment things could start flying.
I think, well, yes and no. And just to go back to one thing, I actually was irked out my mind with all the coverage on his physical. He passed his physical.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good enough. So they kept looking for, well, how does he sit? Is he pronated? Did he look for anything? Like, does he have a hangnails or anything we can use to take against him? And the best part was, and I'll leave them nameless because I'm sure it's some kind of shaming, but these really, really chubby reporters at CNN who sit in chairs and tables, and when the camera angles turn, you see the little bellies because they work out, are talking about him, calling him obese.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Like everyone in America is damn near obese if you do it right. I mean, if you follow the scale, I should be in a walker on my 600-pound life, leaning for Big Macs. But I mean, it's amazing to me that the people that were talking about him, there was no mirror in CNN while you were running your mouth. Like, he's an older man. Of course, he's gonna have a little bends and ticks on his heart. He's supposed to. He's an old man, but he's fine. He passed physical. Move on.
You know, it's funny. I gotta wrap this up. I'm jealous that Trump can eat whatever he wants. I call this old school health. He's not personal trainer healthy that you see everywhere. Personal trainer healthy. They're muscular, but all they do is eat like strained kale. He's dock worker healthy, which is like he eats anything he wants, but could twist the head off a deer.
Grumpy old man.
Grumpy old man.
The old man ate bacon and beer every day.
You know, it's funny, but it does reflect a very serious problem that we're trying to pathologize political differences. First, we try to criminalize
That's your
them.
book.
Now we're trying to pathologize them, but the Republicans did the same thing. When Hillary Clinton tripped, going into that car, people were diagnosing her. Look how sick she is.
Yeah, it's
She's
true.
not qualified to be president.
We were right, though.
From both sides. Let's cut that out of both sides. Let's get whoever gets elected, let them govern.
It's a good point. It's a good point. It's fair point there. Up next, the Fire and Fury book will now be a TV movie. I hope I get to play Stormy Daniels. Like crap to a latrine, it heads to the screen. This week it was announced Michael Wolff's best-selling book, Fire and Fury, would be turned into a TV series. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Look, I've written books, I've done TV shows. TV exists to make books more interesting. How do you make Trump more interesting than Trump? How are they going to make a TV version that's more interesting than the real thing? The guy's a walking blockbuster. So good luck to them. But I don't think Fire and Fury is going to work on TV. I'm pitching a competing show called Fire and Furry. Here's a clip of the pilot episode.
I piccoli crescono, ma le abitudini rimangono le stesse. Vero? Sempre le solite abitudini? Brutti vizi, eh?
Oh, and they are delicious. Shelby, my theory is that you can't. How can you make what's really happening better without making it up?
Yeah. I have no idea. And I was talking to a friend in the publishing world, and he said you never usually see nonfiction books become something funny or comical. You know, all I can picture in my head is Veep for some reason.
Yeah.
Just something totally bananas. And he said we just don't see that happening. It's a nonfiction book, but you never know. And I just think it's going to be hard to outdo whatever you're trying to do.
You know, Alec Baldwin does Trump with a ream of writers, a team of writers, and Trump is funnier without that, Dershowitz, because he's real. Well, but you've adapted books into movies. I mean, could you do this?
Only on one condition: if you could get Trump to play himself.
Yes.
Then he could be a great star.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you know, think of the career he has ahead.
Can you get him to follow the script?
He'd be the worst actor. He'd go, I don't like this, so I don't like this.
That didn't happen.
Can you get Stormy Daniels to play herself? I want to do the hotel scene at least 3 times to get it right. Tyrus.
Yo.
I only bring the because I just got this article on My Affair with Donald. Do you think that should be part of this, even though it wasn't in the book?
Why not? I mean, that's the only kind of sort of maybe true thing about the whole situation. So it's literally Memoirs of an Angry Bannon. Is the name of the book. I mean, it's the movie. So the movie's going to be him pouting in the office next to the big office while they have a meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to tell. I mean, and what kills me about that whole thing is like he paid off a porn star for having an affair. Would it have been better if she'd been a housewife of 5? Would that have been a better affair?
I didn't look at it that way.
Cum de la lawyer has an affair with, well, that's fine. But you know, just keeping it real, if I was looking for extracurricular, I would go to a pro who's not going to want to date or graduate or call me all the time. So I probably would go that route. I'm not saying I would. It's apprehensible. And I'm not saying he did either. But fellas, women, hear me now. If you're going to go out and date, go out and sneak around, you're going to sneak around with somebody who can come back home and ruin your life? Or you have a professional where you sign a disclosure and there's a medical test and everything's fine? If your tooth hurts, you go to the dentist.
You know what? It's such a good point. Like, if you're a golfer, you're probably going to want to play with a professional golfer rather than like.
You got a toothache, go to the dentist.
Yeah.
But I think, the interesting part of the book that they.
I don't even know what that means.
The interesting part of the book they actually could make a decent TV series out of is the three groups in the White House.
Yeah.
The Bannon group.
Yes.
The Ivanka and Jared group. And the Republican group. That was an actual insightful part of the book.
She was her own group.
She was her own group because nobody liked her.
That might be the most fascinating part. We have no idea what she was doing.
No, neither did she.
Maybe we would learn.
She brought her friends over to check out the rooms. Kat, where do you see this going? Is this happening? Would you watch?
Only under one condition. Scallywag attitude.
Yes.
And for the Fire and Fury book, we keep the part about eating cats.
Oh, that's
all of the problems in the White House is because Trump eats cats.
I didn't know that about it. That's what Alf does?
Yeah, he's chasing their little kitty around for most of the series. Get with it, Greg.
I'm sorry. I think, this could only work if they did it real time, like 24. So, how 24 was 24. They'd have to do it at night, and they'd have to replay the events of the day with actors. They'd have to do exactly the same day, because real life is better than whatever they're going to offer.
I will stick my face in a beehive and play Bannon.
Yeah, there you go. Stick my head in a beehive?
It's the only way you're going to accurately depict. I mean, this is amazing.
He does have a lot of blushing going on.
We got to go. It's still to come. A week ago, Hawaii told 1 million people they were all going to die, but now the story's already in the trash. We dig it up next.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Marianne Rafferty. The blame game goes on in our nation's capital. A rare weekend session ended Saturday night without a deal to fund the federal government. Republicans and Democrats are pointing the finger at each other for the government shutdown. Democrats are demanding that any short-term deal include protections for so-called dreamers, young, undocumented immigrants. But Republicans say that's a non-starter. They won't make a deal on immigration until the government reopens. President Trump tweeting, quote, Democrats are far more concerned with illegal immigrants than they are with our great military or safety at our dangerous southern border. They could have easily made a deal, but decided to play shutdown politics instead. And if no deal is reached by Monday, about 800,000 federal employees will be furloughed. Congress returns to work Sunday afternoon. I'm Marianne Rafferty. Now back to the Greg Gutfeld Show.
Contrary to the alarm, no one bought the farm. Remember that alert that went out in Hawaii? Everyone was told a ballistic missile was heading toward them. And they were put through 38 minutes of sheer hell. And then they were told it was a mistake. That only happened 7 days ago. But it's forgotten as if decades have passed.
Beautiful Hawaii. Nothing but warm beaches and smiling faces. But not way back in the year 2018. Back then, technology was primitive to say the least. One unlucky chap clicked the wrong item on a computer menu and holy hula skirts, statewide panic. The emergency management employee had accidentally set a false alarm about an incoming ballistic missile. For 38 minutes, gents and dames everywhere were hightailing it for cover. Well, mahalo for nothing. As for the employee, he's been reassigned. At least he didn't go out with a bang.
So, why has this story fallen so quickly under the radar? Well, for one thing, you can't blame Trump for it, although some have tried with every fiber in their yogurt-fed being. But if you can't tie Trump to it, it's not a story. So what if parents were putting their children down manholes and priests were absolving flocks of people of their sins and families were tearfully saying goodbye to each other? The president said a naughty word, and that's all that matters. For more on the Hawaii story, let's see what others are reporting. It all goes back to the little tiki doll, doesn't it? Tyrus, I can't believe that we don't talk about this. Is like, just because it was a false alarm, we're not taking it seriously.
And you know what, the part that really bothers me is it took 38 minutes.
Yes, and they knew 5 minutes.
38 minutes. Well, before that ballistic missile, that should be national security. I don't think your local state should be taking care of that, obviously. But in those 38 minutes, do you know how many marriages were ruined?
Yes, true.
You know that moment where you're like, I never liked your mother. I only stayed with you for the kids.
I'm the only one on this panel old enough to remember duck and cover.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we were scared out of our wits. The Russians were going to come. They were going to blow us up, but we would be saved because we got on our knees under our desks and prayed. And that brought back these terrible, terrible memories.
Yeah, it was nuts, Shelby. My wife was there. Thank God I wasn't, because I am the worst. I know. I would have covered myself in slow-moving elderly. And I would have. I would have been like, they would have been shields.
Hey, you insulting me here? Come on.
You've been the guy who had to apologize after the false alarm. Honey, dear, I didn't mean to kick you out of the refrigerator. Right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like, I leave the family behind.
Yep.
No, I was going to look for help.
Yeah.
No, but you really can't imagine what it was like to be there.
Right.
And clearly this person had no business being near a button when we have heard so much about big, powerful buttons, and there are genuine fears that that button might be pushed. There are a few things that were really scary that came out of this news, though. The AP reported, according to a man who was contracted by DHS to study the wireless alert, it could take 30 minutes for other states to write and blast a message about a missile. That's a problem we should probably fix.
Right.
And a nationwide system for mobile devices has never been tested. These are things that just seem so simple.
I disagree.
And the fear is that we've moved on so quickly from the news. Will they ever be fixed?
We move quickly from everything. You think about the Vegas shooting. We act like that's happened 10 years ago, and we still don't know what the hell happened. Kat, you said you disagree on what?
I disagree. I don't think there should be any of these warnings at all.
Oh, really?
Why? If you're gonna get missile bombed to death, what are you gonna do about it? Get a raincoat so you don't get wet? Gonna stock up on canned goods? You're never gonna get a chance to eat those canned goods. There's nothing you can do. Why not just let people live, and then, 1 second you're not?
Well, this is an interesting point. The best response I heard is the husband of my wife's friend. They were there for her birthday party, and he's Russian, and everybody's panicking. People are crying. His wife's crying, and he goes, "Go back to bed. If you wake up, all good." And you can't get better than that.
No.
You can't get better than that.
That's a cool dude.
The one thing I got to say, I love Hawaiian shirts, but it's weird when they're at a national security press conference. When they're in Hawaii. Do you throw a tie over a Hawaiian shirt? I don't know. I mean, I don't get it. Anyway, I don't get it at a national security. I love Hawaiian shirts. I love them.
Just not in a serious meeting.
It's incredible. You can wear them anywhere. Anyway, coming up, North Korea's got Olympic fever. North and South are joining hands to win a few medals. Or die trying. Seriously, you lose, you die. That's next. Their dear leaders sending cheerleaders. North and South Korea will march together under a unified flag at next month's Winter Olympics in the South. They've even agreed to field a joint women's ice hockey team. The North will also send 230 cheerleaders to their death. But a foreign minister says the world shouldn't be so naive about the North's participation. Adding, quote, "I believe that North Korea wants to buy some time to continue their nuclear and missile programs." Meanwhile, an American expert on North Korea may have come up with the best bloody nose option for a military strike against Kim Jong-un. Blow up his personal toilet. Apparently, all the pictures of Kim Jong-un at missile launches have one thing in common. Take a look at the back left of this picture. His porta potty is always nearby. As Jeffrey Lewis explains, taking it out will, quote, "send an unmistakable message. We can kill you while you're dropping a deuce." I'm never pooping again. As for the Olympics, they've added a new sport that promises to be a huge hit. I'd say that blows, but that's too obvious. Kat, thoughts on this assassination plot or pseudo plot?
Yeah. As funny as bombing a toilet would be, and it would be, it could be seen as an act of war.
True.
And if they were to retaliate, I would hate for the reason that there was no more New York City or no more Los Angeles to be, we thought bombing a toilet would be funny.
Yes, that's true. You don't base your foreign policy on a really cool joke.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as it would be, it wouldn't look very good in the history books.
All right,
they thought it would be funny.
Professor, do the Olympics help foster diplomacy between adversaries, or does it only help rogue nations like North Korea to put a polished face on their misery?
Of course, if you go back to 1936, where the world welcomed Hitler and the Nazis and allowed them to disqualify Jewish runners, and Hitler wouldn't ultimately shake hands with Jesse Owens, all of that, it can be used as a terrible, terrible show helping tyrannical regimes. On the other hand, it also, think of how many of these cheerleaders are going to go back to North Korea. I hereby offer to represent any of them who want to defect.
But that's... Okay, but
they don't have to be a cheerleader.
But think about
this. They don't have to be a cheerleader. Anyone who wants to defect, I'm their lawyer.
But see, now here's the reason why I think they're not going to defect. Each one of those cheerleaders' families are probably in a room, right?
Right.
They're probably in a room, and it's like, if you don't return, they're a casserole for the starving citizens. That's what I hate to say it, but there are reports that there's some bad dietary.
You think is in the burger?
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
The cheerleaders are interesting because when you read the headline, it sounds really silly. They're sending this huge group of cheerleaders, couple of athletes. The cheerleaders are actually considered soldiers by many North Korea experts. They are the army of beauties. They are meant to go out there and sort of woo the rest of the world, pretend like they're peacemakers, show how innocent and soft the regime is. And their most famous alumni is Kim Jong-un's wife. So
I didn't even know he was
necessarily trying to defect.
I didn't even know he was married.
He marries a cheerleader just like everybody else.
They always marry the cheerleaders. Kat says.
You can do it, Tyrus. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Tyrus. What do you? Okay, is this just a way for Kim Jong-un to just put off stuff to delay while he's still developing weapons? Look, I'm cooperating, but then he's actually doing something else.
I mean, it's probably a little of that, but also at the same time, one of the things that has happened for him and his country is with sparring with the president of the United States and the leader of the free world, he has the spotlight right now.
Yeah.
So chances are, if he wouldn't have had the interactions that he's had with President Trump, none of this would be happening right now.
I think you're right.
He's trying to play a sympathy thing, and then you're 110% right. Every one of those cheerleaders, they got a reason to come home, or several reasons to come home, because once they get over there and they see a warm bed, 3 hot meals, free speech, TV. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the Olympic. It's like a little city.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole lot of fun going on.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, it's been a while for me since I've been in the Olympics.
A good friend of mine, Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, he goes to Olympic, and some of his stories from the Olympics back in the day, I was like, did you even have energy to lift?
Yeah.
They party, they have fun, everyone's meeting everyone, they're going to be exposed to a lot of things.
There was a lot of clean and jerking going on. All right, I don't even know what that means.
Ruins the story. I'm talking about sharing ideas. This is a dirty little old man.
No, I mean, he's working
I got the old man sweater on, but you should have it on today.
All right.
Would you guys stop attacking old men?
All right, still to come. New California wants to become the 51st state. But why stop at 51? Let's add the moon while we're at it. Would it be great to have a 51st state? I speak of the New California movement, which seeks to create a new state by separating California's rural areas from its metropolitan coast. Its founders, it's really just 2 guys, cite overtaxation, regulation, and mono-party politics as the reason for the split, which are all good reasons for pulling out. California was once... Stop it! You know, I lived in California. It was once a pretty cool state. You had the film industry. You had orange groves. You had giant redwood trees. You had the Modesto Nuts. It's a minor league baseball team. They don't talk to me anymore. Now it's let itself go. An elegant gentleman has become your fat, drunk uncle who can't even zip up his own pants. The founders of New California formally declared their independence this week. I believe we have tape of their presentation.
San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Everything on this side of the line is just hundreds and hundreds of miles of worthless desert land, which just so happens to be owned by Lex Luthor Incorporated.
Wow. I didn't know Superman was in Deliverance. Hey,
Very good.
California, it's gotten too big, Professor Dershowitz. It's like imagine Siamese twins, right? And one of your twins got really, really fat. And you go like, okay, it's time to split. We're calling the doctor.
Look, there are people in California who want to not have a separate state. They want to secede and have a separate nation. They would be, what, the 7th, 8th largest economy in the world?
Yes.
They would be among the top population nations in the world, and they could legalize marijuana without any concern from the federal government.
In the world? Shelby, this could be a great contest to see. You have the two states split. Which one would do better? One with like free market, free market, free mind mentality that Professor Dershowitz discusses, or big government intrusion of the other kind of California?
That's a good question. I mean, I think this is what happens when you overtax your citizens, can't balance your budget. People get really frustrated. They want to leave. But if you look at the plan that these New California guys released, it's literally a 5-page sloppy PDF.
Is that all you need?
It looks like something a third grader put together. So I think they have a little ways to go in filling in the details and convincing people this is a good idea. But also, all the wealth is on the coast.
Yeah.
So they would also have a bit of a reality check when they start realizing what their resources are.
But how big was our Declaration of Independence?
Bases.
Wasn't that one sheet?
It was a much more intelligent sheet.
Really?
I'll have to say that.
I think it was written on a cocktail napkin, if I remember correctly.
I believe that you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, they all had.
Everything good is written on a cocktail napkin. Tyrus?
What?
I don't know.
You want me to follow up with that?
Yes.
Look, I grew up in California. I still have my California driver's license. I vote absentee ballot. Like, I'm still a Californian. And they do this. I grew up with this constantly. At one point, Northern California was pissed because Southern California was taking all their water, so they wanted to split and be Northern California, Southern California. Then some genius came up with the 6 states. We're going to have 6 new states in California. You know, Texas did this, a few years ago. Texas wanted to succeed because it seems like whenever someone doesn't get their way, they want to pack. That's the way America is now, apparently. When you don't get your way, you pack your bags and you go home.
But
so
they're
now
not leaving.
No, they're just saying we're not being a part of this anymore.
No, they're still going to be a state.
Family Guy, he did that too.
They're going to be a state. That's good. It's good. They're moving out of that. They're not moving out of the house. They're getting their own room.
Yeah, but it's not the way I like it, so I want it. I would be pissed.
As a Californian, I am tired of California when I go there. It's like people, I had to move out of California because I couldn't afford to live there. I couldn't afford to buy the house that I grew up in.
But what did you do?
I sold it for a lot of money.
Called Greg, or did you move to New York?
I moved.
That's the thing about America. There's like 49 other choices.
Yeah, you got to move.
You're not going to get it. They're not going to split.
I think that's the moral: is you got to move, Kat.
Yeah.
You must move.
Is that my question?
Yes. No. You know, Virginia split off from Virginia, became West Virginia, right?
Maine and Massachusetts.
Yes.
Split.
Dakota Fanning left North Dakota.
It just blows my mind, like you said with the PDF, that there are actually people out there who are spending their time doing this.
Really?
Yeah, like
you've spent time on worse things.
100%, and that's exactly my point. I was like, these people must have no psychological noise. They must have no social traumas to deal with. They must have other lives. Who gets and spends their free time thinking, you know what, I would like to make a PDF about creating my own state, and I'm going to do it.
I think this
probably the
I like
best
these people.
I agree.
The best people.
You should have them on the show and interview them.
I will. You know what? You're right. You know, it's like the people who do C-Lab.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
Do C-Lab?
It's much better than anything I do.
And then when you ask them one wrong question, they're going to form their own Greg Gutfeld show in the corner.
All right, enough. Don't laugh at that. Final thoughts. If you leave now, I'll replace all of your relatives with exact replicas.
Audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
I'll see you Monday on The 5 at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're running out of time, so...
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
All right, Professor.
Well, in my book, Trumped Up, I argue to return us to the center. Let's move away from the extremes. The left is turning too far left. Some on the right are turning too far right. Let's return to the days where centrist conservatives can argue with centrist liberals and ask what's best for America, not what's best for the right or what's best for the left.
I gotta move on. I do think Trump's gonna be a centrist. I think he always has been because he moves all over the place. Anyway, Shelby?
For my final thought, I think I'll go back to the beginning of the show. You said if Trump can control himself,
yes,
he could be a great president. And I think that's a big key. And people don't really take it seriously. But after producing this big video of the year of Trump, I truly think if Trump can get his act together on Twitter, not say offensive things, not pick so many fights, we could have a great year.
Yeah,
I think so too.
All right, Tyrus.
Oh man, I had a busy week. I got 2 movies getting ready to come out. Monster movie In You Out if you're into that, and if you want to laugh. Me, Mike Epps, Russell Peters, and John Malkovich in SuperCon, and I made my return to Impact Wrestling last week, where I put hands on EC3. You should probably check that out. So
busy man. All right, last word to you, Kat.
So I've been having kind of a rough time, had a rough day. Went home, though, and found out there was cat vomit all over my apartment. So I was like, at least I have a purpose in life.
Yeah, that's good.
Got to clean that up.